I think being put in that situation definitely opened your eyes, and it's like your first your adult moment where you realize, okay, there's no like escaping this. There's no other way around. It's like if you don't do this, your life can be altered. And I think that when that happened to me, and then I had to go to junior college, it was like, okay, like now I need to wake up. I have to understand like this is serious, because if I want to play basketball professionally.
Welcome everybody. We are really glad you came over, even though it's minus 2 degrees outside. So, gotta be honest, I would have probably also stayed home when it's that cold. But really appreciate you all coming over to listen to what Corey's gonna tell us about his life. There are really like interesting stories, deep stories, things probably we Germans don't really touch that often. So, I'm really glad he's open to share all this stuff with us. So. Really looking forward to it. And first of all, like, how are you doing?
Feeling good, man. Like you said, it's pretty cold outside, but besides that, feeling healthy, feeling good. Just another day in Chemnitz.
Okay. Let's start out with your childhood. What was your upbringing? What was your family situation like?
Very simple, man. I had a very big family. Everything was centered around sports for us. My cousins, whether they were female, male, a lot of aunts, uncles, everybody was just into sports, whether it was volleyball, football, basketball. Kind of was just raised up in it. I mean, I lived in a very, very small city, but it was just a big community. Like it was an entire family in one big city. So, I mean, it's just very close-knit, very, very just family-oriented. Like we were just always very close to each other, no matter how far apart we are, no matter where we were in the world. It's just, we were always close together. And I think that's something that sticks with me a lot. And
how was your like core family situation like? When talking about your parents, your siblings, what was the situation back then?
So I wouldn't say it was complicated, but I was raised mainly by my grandparents. My mom, when she had me, she was 19. She was still in school, still working. So I mean, she was pretty busy herself. So most of the time, like I was with my grandparents from maybe I would say 8, something like that, 8 or 9. Mm-hmm. I was with my grandparents most of the time. My dad lived in Texas, so he was back and forth a lot for like holidays and stuff like that. So that's when I would really get to see him. But most of the time with my mom, my grandparents, just spending time with them.
So did you see him regularly or like only a couple times a year?
It would mainly be like holidays, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays, celebrations, summertime, here and there. But it wasn't really too often. He was a very busy guy, and that drive from Texas to Louisiana, for people who don't really know, it's like maybe like 4 hours. So having to drive back and forth constantly, it was, as of now, I understand it's a lot of difficulties going on, whether like it'd be like work or stuff like that. So that's kind of how it was.
How did you feel as a kid growing up, not really having your dad around you and that father figure? Was there like an uncle or your granddad or at some point a stepdad that really kind of gave you that? And how did you feel knowing you have a dad but he's only partially there? Did it make you feel sad or more confused, or what was back then as a kid? You don't really understand probably on what the situation actually is, but how did you feel back then?
I had a lot of male presence in my life, so I mean I wasn't really lacking as for like father figures. Like my grandfather was the one who taught me how to play basketball, and he was a big role model in my life. I had thousands of uncles, it felt like, and my mom ended up getting married when I was around like 9, so my stepdad was in my life a lot. I didn't live with them for a couple of years. I finished out my elementary days with my grandparents, and then when I went to middle school, I moved in with my mom and my stepdad. So like I said, like I wasn't necessarily missing a father figure. Obviously, I loved my dad and wanted him around more, but it was just one of those situations where it just really didn't work out. So like I would really see him when I seen him, and like people stepped up in my life. I had a lot of guys who looked after me and made sure I was, doing the right things, going to school, just living as I should as a kid.
So you mentioned that you lived with your grandparents for quite some time, and then you moved back with your mom and also your stepdad. How was the situation for you coming into the new environment, and also then probably having a stepdad, which is kind of new also, or at least to be like really permanent living with him?
At first, I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty awkward. I mean, I was very territorial over my mom and my brother, so like moving into a house with a complete, well, in my eyes at that time, he was a complete stranger. So it was kind of like weird those first couple of months, to be honest. I mean, I had to get to know him as much as he had to get to know me, but he did a great job of just being patient with me. Because like he said, he could see like the uncomfortableness and the awkwardness I would usually have when I spoke to him or I was around him. But he was very patient, very kind, very understanding. He was a very funny guy as well, so he made awkward situations for me very lighthearted. And that's something that I always appreciated about him.
I mean, we're gonna kind of split the episode in two parts. One is like your personal life, and then basketball. Usually we kind of, I don't know, made this in like one storyline. But I feel like you told me so many things happened to you that we usually can relate to, living in Germany or basically in Europe. That I think it's important to emphasize this and to understand like that this is normal also for you guys, which is like out of this world for us. So, are you comfortable talking about what happened to your stepdad?
Yeah, of course. So last year, I believe it was on September 17th, he was murdered. At work, he was a barber part-time, and he's been cutting hair all his life. But he was in the barbershop at the time, and he was cutting a client's hair. And a couple guys, I guess, who was after his client at the time, they just ran in there, shot him. He was shot 3 times, I believe, 1 in the head, 2 in the chest, and the other guy as well was shot. He was shot in the chest and in the neck, and they both passed away on site. I got the call maybe 6 hours after it happened because there was so much going on, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I was on my way to a preseason game. I was playing in Italy at the time, last year, in Cremona, and we were on our way to play Trieste in, where were we? In Venice. And we were on the bus, and we were like maybe 5 minutes away from the gym. And I got the call from my mom, and she was hysterical. So like I just kind of just blanked out for like maybe like 2 hours because I couldn't really comprehend what was going on at the time. So I just went through my daily routine, finished the game. And I think it didn't really hit me till like after I settled down, my nerves calmed, and like I finally spoke to my brother and my mom, and it just like, I don't know, it hit hard for a while. It did. Took some time I think it hit my brother more than anything because that was like his best friend. Me and my stepdad had a very specific relationship. Like we loved each other and we understood and respected each other. We went through a lot my entire life, like ups and downs. Like him and my mom had difficulties, so our relationship was strained sometimes, but we had a mutual respect for each other. But I think my brother was definitely more distraught about it more than anything. So I think the hardest part for me was seeing my little brother the way he was and consistently trying to have to, like, you know, wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and talk to him and just listen to him and just, you know, have to listen to him cry for hours on end and having to deal with that and just trying to get him in the right headspace was probably the hardest part of all that.
And then you told me, and that's something that was really, I don't know how to really say it, like sad is probably not the right word, but then you told me when I asked you how you process this and, you know, how do you cope with that? Because I've been in similar situations, not like violently, but like in similar situations where you lose somebody and you don't really understand at first what's happening. And then you told me like, at some point you kind of get used to it, or it's become not normal, but it happens so often that you kind of process it all the same time, or probably also, every time like the same time. And could you maybe then tell us about your 2 best friends, what happened to them, and basically how you deal with grief?
Yeah, so I had two of my closest friends the year that I graduated from high school. They were Jonathan and Draven, those are my guys. It was like maybe 2 weeks before we were supposed to graduate high school. I think there was like there was like a festival or something going on, but at the time I was with my grandparents visiting them, and I got a call from one of my other best friend, and he told me what happened. So it was a situation where my friend Jonathan and his friend were like kind of like, I guess, fidgeting with the firearm or whatever, and it went off and it hit him in the face, and then he ended up passing away in the hospital like maybe a couple hours after that. So going through that, maybe I want to say a month and a half after that, like after the funeral and all that, it was maybe a month. I would say a month. My friend Draven got into a situation where he was in a house with a couple of friends, and some guys ran into the house and shot just about everybody in there. 2 of the guys passed away. One was in a critical condition for like maybe 3 or 4 months, but it was a situation where I lost literally like 2 close friends in like less than 4 weeks. And it was just like going into like the summer where I'm supposed to be going to college, getting ready for basketball, dealing with all that, like trying to cope and understand what's going on, and still at the same time trying to stay in shape and get ready for an experience of living on my own and moving to another place and going to school was like, I think in the grand scheme of things, probably was some of the toughest stuff I ever had to deal with, because I didn't know what to feel, how to regulate those emotions. Like, it was just trying to find ways to cope, trying to find ways to not feel what I was feeling, to understand when I didn't understand, I think was the biggest thing for me. And it's just like, as many conversations as I would have about it, like, it wasn't really a set conversation that helped, because it's like, it was really nothing you could say to change anything, to fix it, to make you feel better, because it was just all like, just plush conversations, like, it'll be okay, like, you have great memories, like, things you really necessarily don't want to hear at that point in time. But it was just kind of like, you just kind of pull yourself away from everything and just kind of like fight it yourself. Kind of, that was my mindset at the time, because talking to people didn't really help. And it was just like, I'm a very logical thinker, and it was just like, I understood there was nothing I can do about it. So it was either I'm just going to sulk and destroy my life, or just get through it, keep pushing, and just keep living, and just figure out ways to fight with that. And I think I did a pretty okay job with it, honestly.
And when we talked about the situation, we kind of both agreed that, I mean, I was 16 when my sister passed, and you was 18 in that situation, that it's strange that you're already basically a grown-up person, or about to be grown up, and then you said the same, like I said, like, you don't understand what happened. I mean, it's pretty easy to understand on a rational level, but at the end, and that's so crazy to me, like, you don't really understand what happened. Take us through that process for you. I mean, getting somebody taken out of your life violently, and then twice within like a couple of weeks, that's really tough, especially if it's like somebody that's close to you. Like, what was your process in like really, probably at the beginning not really understanding what happened at all, and not really understanding, probably, I don't know, calling them still, and they don't really answer the phone, that's at least what I did. And then transitioning into something where you slowly start understanding what really happened.
I think after Draven passed, it was more of like, I wouldn't say emotions per se. Like, I think it was just numbness. Like, because it was just, I think the emotions were so intense that I didn't understand how to feel them. So it was just like, I just shut down. It was, obviously, I would spend time like reading our text messages, going through phone, like all of our messages and pictures, and calling them every once in a while, leaving a voicemail, listening to old voicemails and videos of them as well. And it helped in certain aspects, and sometimes it would hurt more than it helped, but it was just like constantly continuing to do it and finding a way to just like relieve that pain that I was holding on to sometimes, obviously. And just like crying, it got to a point where it wouldn't help. So it was just kind of like I said, you just became kind of numb to it in a sense. So it wasn't really like I was just overly emotional and just like, you know, just tired and exhausted. Like, I was just really just drained from being so numb, and just sitting around, not really wanting to do nothing, just in bed all day. It was kind of like one of those scenarios.
And I mean, like I said, compared to Germany, that's not the usual type of stuff that happens. And I remember talking to a lot of guys, and I remember also talking to Franz Messernet a couple of years ago, and he also told me like a week before he was supposed to come here, his best friend got shot like 6 times in the head, and that's why he came a week later than he was supposed to. And he basically, when he was here, every like, I don't know, 3 months, he was posting somebody got shot. Would you say that, especially where you're from, like more the southern states, would you say that this is quote unquote normal for you guys, that this happens just a lot and you kind of, I don't know, have to deal with it?
As much as I hate to say it, yeah, it's kind of like you have to find a way to ignore the violence and stay away from it as much as possible. But even in certain scenarios, it kind of finds you in a sense. Like, it's not really, like I said, it's a very small city, so it's not really much to do. It's a lot of violence, a lot of gang violence, a lot of drugs. Just that's what the South really is, to be honest. So it's not really much to do outside of getting yourself in trouble if you're not really an athlete, already have a job, or like, you know, trying to work towards something. If you're not doing nothing, you always kind of fall into that path, and it's really just a lot of that. So like being an athlete and having friends on both sides of that is kind of like you have to find a balance of just like understanding who your friends are, but also understanding which scenarios you keep yourself out of and how you keep safe.
And would you say that, like, is this more like the environment that you are automatically dragged into situations like that because you can't really escape them at all? Like, I mean, you just said that if you like have your path as an athlete and you're kind of between both, that's probably even harder, to be honest. I don't know, but I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, it can be, but I think...
like the question is more like, is this something that's kind of inevitable for most people to get dragged into?
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, like I said, as much as there is violence, it's this weird stigma of like protecting athletes where I'm from as well. So a lot of guys who are involved in stuff like that, no matter what the situation was, like they would always keep us away from it. I think a lot of like my older friends and guys who like kind of like kept me under their protection, they'd make sure I wasn't going to parties I was supposed to go to, like, you know, just hanging around certain people or being in places I shouldn't have been. Like I had a lot of great friends who were older than me who kind of kept me out of like scenarios like that. So I was definitely appreciative.
Have you? And that's at least something a really close friend of mine told me. He's from California. He told me that this fear of being a black man there, and you know, when it comes, every time you get pulled over by the cops, instantly your heart races and you get really anxious about the situation. Is this something you would kind of mirror to, that this happened to you also, where you're in situations where you have to, I don't know, turn around a lot? Or at least that's also something like Trent said, that for him it's kind of usual, especially after he become a pro basketball player, when he goes back home, to really pay attention to where he's going and what he's doing, because people know that, you know?
Yeah, I think, because especially being overseas for as long as some of us has to, I think we do have to pay extra attention, because we do kind of forget like how dangerous things can be back at home. Because the way we live in Europe or wherever the case, wherever we are playing ball at the time, it's like we don't have to worry about those things. And we're here for like 8, 9, sometimes 10 months at a time. So like we're able to just relax and not really overthink about things that normally, like when we're back home, like we know we have to be on like high alert for. And I think that what he told you was honestly true. I think it all plays a part, because it's not just like, you know, cops. It's like it's everything. Cops, your environment, people at the gas station, people at stores. Like you really just have to be paying attention at all times.
That's really crazy to me still, to live a life like this. But let's maybe move into something that's more like positive. Maybe sorry for the dog intro, but I think it's important for us to understand that like this is normal life for a lot of people, and to really understand how difficult this is and how good in some sorts we have it. Because I can't imagine living like that and being in fear for a lot of, I don't know, situations and losing so many. Like you said, you probably until your mid-20s been to more funerals than birthday parties.
That's a fact.
That's so crazy to me. So let's transition into basketball. How did you actually got into basketball?
My basketball life started at around, I think 4 or 5. I think it was like 5 years old or something like that. My grandfather immediately put a basketball in my hand no matter what I was doing. If I was crawling around, if I was walking, whatever I was doing, he made sure he shoved the basketball in my hand. And I appreciate it, honestly. Like he really I was his first grandchild, so he really took a big step in like making sure that whatever he was going to do, he was going to be good at it. And he put me in everything. I played baseball, football, basketball. I tried soccer for a year, I sucked at it, and then I just let it go. But everything else, I was pretty decent at. So I played it throughout high school, and I loved it, honestly. He pushed me to where it was like, it wasn't tearing my love away from the game, but making sure I understood how important it was to work hard. And I think that was a big thing that stayed with me, my grandfather, for sure.
When was the point when you took basketball more serious? So I mean, you just talk. I mean, your granddad obviously kind of put it on you, but there's a difference between having a ball in your hand and really taking it seriously.
I think it started maybe my junior year in high school, because I had a sit down with one of my coaches, and it was like, at that time I was still like a 3-sport athlete. I was still playing football, basketball, and baseball, and I was still trying to juggle the 3 throughout my senior year. But I had to sit down with one of my coaches, and they were basically telling me, like, at some point in time you're gonna have to make a decision, because obviously the wear and tear of playing 3 sports all year, and then, you know, getting ready for college, like it's gonna take a lot of your body. So you have to be very decisive of what you want to do. And it just came down to the scholarships at that point, like understanding like what I was best at and what was going to work for me at the next level to get me to a higher education. So obviously basketball was it for me, and then it just took off from there.
Can you describe how your high school career looked like? Have you been always like really playing good? I mean, I just discovered yesterday that you and Wes were playing together in Houston, and he was like the one guy out. He was always struggling, but really like going hard. So, have you been like in a similar situation where you had to push extra hard all the time, or did you enter high school and being like the guy already in your area and knowing that you're gonna be good?
Yeah, so it was kind of that for me. Like I had a very big name in my city coming into high school, so people knew who I was, and I think it just gravitated and pushed through my senior year. Like I always was one of the best players from my city, so it kind of just pulled throughout high school. I think the biggest challenge for me was transitioning from high school to college, though, because I didn't go to the college I originally was supposed to go to. I was actually supposed to go to the school that was in my city, University of Lafayette, Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, but my SAT scores, which is like a final exam that you normally have to take after your high school career, like my scores weren't up to par of like entering the university that I wanted, so I had to go to like a junior college or a sub-college, if people don't know what a junior college is. I'd have to do 2 years there in order to go to university. So my coach at the time, who was at UL, he pushed me to go to a school in Houston called San Jac. That's where I went. I went 2 years there before I went to the University of Houston. I had 2 good years there. I was a JUCO All-American and first team everything my sophomore year. And I think the last 4 schools that I had that I was deciding from was LSU, Arizona, Houston, and Oklahoma State, I believe. Those were my last four schools, and then ended up taking 2 visits. The last visit was at Houston, and then I was supposed to go to LSU and Arizona after that, but decided not to go, and then just committed to Houston.
What is the junior college situation? Because could it be the case that once you don't really have good scores on your SATs and you're not allowed to go to a like proper college and play NCAA and stuff like that, could this be an issue? I mean, if you're still doing good at junior college and you're not able to kind of transfer to a proper college, that your career is kind of over, because that's one of the only paths in the States at least to go at that age, especially?
That's kind of what it is. If you go junior college and you can't get past that and you don't have the grades to go to university, then it kind of dies there. Honestly, you might go to like a D3 or some or a D2 school like that maybe, but even then, you still have to have like a certain grade point average and stuff like that. So it just depends.
I mean, at the end of your high school career, that's basically where you're looking for a college, for a scholarship to play. What was your goal back then? Is it just focused on choosing or try to choose the right college, even if you took the detour with the junior college, or do you still think about like the big thing, like I want to make it to the league, I want to play at the highest level? What's the situation back then for you?
In high school, it was more of me really just trying to get to anywhere that I can just play, to be honest. I think I wasn't really thinking on a big scale per se, because again, I lived in Louisiana is one of the smallest states in America, so it's not really much attention outside of like the top of the top guys in the state. So it was kind of a situation where like I wanted to go to school and I wanted to play at the next level, and I would literally do it anywhere. So I had like maybe 3 or 4 offers, and all of them were in state at the time. So like I was just kind of like taking what I could get at that point. And it wasn't really because I wasn't good enough, but it's just, I mean, like I said, where I'm from, like basketball isn't the main sport. Like it's a lot of guys that play baseball who I knew like 3 guys that went to the MLB right out of high school. Like baseball is a really big thing in Louisiana. So basketball is kind of like second or third, depending on who you ask. So it wasn't really much attention on us. So having to try to get scholarships and, you know, try to fight for that stuff was kind of difficult.
How's the situation when you choose a junior college? Like, is it the same for like a quote-unquote proper college where they approach you and you get to choose between them, or is there like a system where you like with the schools where it's a certain district and you have to go there, or how
it
does
can be.
work?
I think it varies from like person to person. Like some guys get recruited, some guys know someone who tells his coach about this player. It just depends on who the guy is.
Yeah. And how was your junior college experience?
It was rough, to be honest. Junior college is nothing close to university whatsoever. We maybe get like $60 a week for food and groceries and stuff like that. Campus was like maybe 20, 30 minutes away, and none of us had cars. So like we were catching Ubers or rides, and like it was a process. It was survival of the fittest for sure. Like you didn't have the best like facilities or the best weight rooms, or like even the best coaches sometimes, if I'm gonna be honest. But it was like kind of like you have to find a way to survive. You have to build tough skin. You have to be able to work through all of whatever it is that you're facing in order, because obviously everyone has an end goal, and it's to get to universities, the D1. So it's like you got to put up with a lot in order to get there. And if you do, then there's a chance you can. But obviously, if you fold, then you're just going to be another casualty.
Or at least if you put it like that, you kind of took the step back to junior college because that's been the only like way for you. After these 2 years in junior college, was it clear that you can easily transfer to a college, or are there like certain tests you also have to pass, or grades where it could have been tricky to get into proper college?
Yeah, for junior college, it's more about just your grade point average. If you have a certain grade point average, you're fine. There's no like final test or nothing like that. As long as you're doing well there. Because I got my associate's degree after my 2 years, so as long as you're doing good in there, you'll be fine. But that process is a lot less difficult than high school for sure.
Did you take it more seriously after failing your SATs, knowing that this could be like one of the last options to really go up? Because I think when people play Division 2 or 3,
I think
it's really harder to get into a good situation, even if you go overseas at the end.
For sure. I think being put in that situation definitely opened your eyes, and it's like your first your adult moment where you realize, okay, there's no like escaping this. There's no other way around this. Like if you don't do this, your life can be altered. And I think that when that happened to me, and then I had to go junior college, it was like, okay, like now I need to wake up. I have to understand like this is serious, because if I want to play basketball professionally, this is the route. And if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, and you can't be on the court, then there's no professional team that's going to be wanting you. So I think I did a good job of honing in and just focusing on basketball in school those 2 years and just locking in. I think that translated to the basketball court, because my sophomore year, like I said, I was JUCO All-American. I had an amazing year. Had over 25 scholarships, all 4 rides. So definitely locked in.
Why did you choose Houston?
As corny as it's going to sound, because I know it's going to sound crazy, it just felt right. Like I didn't know much about Houston. I didn't know much about the program or the guys there, to be honest. A lot of them came from junior colleges or were Houston kids themselves. So it's like they weren't really on the radar for sports. Like their basketball team was very mid before I got there, to say the least. Wes can attest to this because he knows. He was a walk-on at the time.
He was a walk-on,
Yeah, so they weren't really all that good. But I had a good feeling about the guys that we're bringing in and what coach had to offer. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, I just wanted to play. I didn't want to go to the biggest school and sit on a bench, or like the coolest school and, like I said, not get any playing time, just being there. Like I actually wanted to work for what I actually earned. So it's just after having a conversation with him, his wife, like sitting down with all the coaches and understanding like the opportunity I would have to not only better myself as a basketball player, but as an adult, as a man, as a person, it just felt right, to be honest. So it was like a no-brainer. After I had a conversation with Mom, I'm like, we didn't even leave campus. I'm like, I'm coming to school here.
Have you visited other schools before?
Yeah, so I visited Western Kentucky at the time, but the coach that was recruiting me there, funny enough, played for Coach Sampson. And then Coach Sampson offered him a job just to get me. No one knows this, but that was actually how I ended up getting to Houston.
So take us through your 2 years at Houston, because we're not really, I think, used to the situation, how it works in the States. So when you go to junior college, you don't have to go 4 years into college. It's more like 2 years.
Yeah.
Walk us through what happened there.
Houston was a blur, man. For people who don't know, Houston is a very big city. A very big city. I think playing in Houston has changed me in a lot of ways, and I definitely had to grow up fast. But it was so fast paced. I think having to deal with how big that we got, like as a program, and everything that came with it was probably the hardest part of doing that, and still staying focused, still going to school, still doing your job. Because like at any point in time, you could have like 13 celebrities sitting courtside. I got like Travis Scott over here. Drake's been to a couple of our games. Like people just showing up, and it's like they're coming here for us. And like I'm sitting here having conversations with these people, and it's like trying to keep your head on straight while dealing with all that. You can't even walk on campus without security. Like you just 30 people trying to stop you, take pictures and photos. Like it's going from like struggling and trying to figure out what I'm gonna eat tonight to like literally having everything in the palm of my hand in like less than like 3 or 4 months was the biggest and I think most difficult thing that I had to adapt to, because it was so different from like how I grew up, how I was raised. Like I didn't know much about big cities. Like I haven't really stepped outside of Louisiana before school, so it was just like, it was almost like a culture shock kind of. So I had to grab hold of that quick and get an understanding of what was important, because like I said, it's very easy to lose your way in that city with like all the club and party promoters, all the celebrities that want to talk to you and hang out with you now. Like it's easy to lose your way, especially in a city like that. So definitely had to stay like just stay focused on what I was focused on doing.
You told me a story about your coach and building habits.
Yeah.
Can you tell the story and how it affected you even, or it still affects you to this day?
Yeah, so I learned a great lesson from my coach. It was actually during the summer where we have like, it was really just us like going through workouts, learning our system and stuff like that. And I was struggling a lot. And it was hard for me to adjust because the level was so like, it was every day, it was just intense. And like I'm going back home, body hurting, like I can barely walk. Crib's a mess. I got dishes and stuff all over the place, and like I'm just trying to figure out life at this point. And I sit down and have an honest conversation with him. Like, Coach, honestly, I'm struggling. Like I don't like everything's moving too fast. Like I don't really understand everything. Like my head feels like it's cluttered. And he gives me like a little side eye look, kind of like this. He's like, what does the apartment look like at home? And I'm like, damn, has he been to apartments? I'm like, it's trash. Like it's stuff all over the place. Yeah. He said, go back home, clean the apartment top to bottom, dishes, mop, do the bed, do the laundry, and then lay down. Tomorrow, tell me how you feel. So listened to him, did all of that, laid down, and it was like just a pressure release. And I just like sunk into my bed, and I was like, wow, this feels great. So I wake up 6 a.m. next morning, get to practice full of energy, eat breakfast, and I kid you not, have the best practice of my life. I'm in there flying around, making plays I've never seen myself make, and I'm looking around, I'm like, is this because I cleaned my apartment? And he's the whole time, he's just like on the sideline laughing. He's just dying laughing. I'm like, well, I'm gonna make sure my crib is spotting from that day on until, like, if anyone walked into my apartment, when I tell you everything has a place and it's going to be spotless, every single day I go home and make sure everything's in order. Every single day. Crazy as hell.
Yeah. I get it though. I get it. I mean, it's hard with 2 kids now, but I kind of get it.
My kids
at
are
least.
home. I don't need that.
At that point, was the NBA still a thing for you, where you try to get there, or has there been like, I mean, most of the guys I talk to, they say early on you kind of understand what your ceiling can be, and that this is a business, that it's really hard to go in there, at least if you're not an exceptional player. And then also that you kind of have to start opening your eyes on playing ball overseas, on Asia, or whatever. What was your situation back then? Have you been on any like draft mock stuff?
Yeah, so honestly, I was oblivious to all that because I was honestly just so focused on like being successful in college. But I think the realization didn't really come until I actually started getting like phone calls from agents and seeing myself on like top 40 players in college by like those type of lists, and like, you know, listening to like the people who are around those environments and like saying you actually have a chance. Like it really didn't hit me until then, and that was like late into my senior season, like maybe around
like your last year in college.
Yeah, like January, February of my senior season. So it wasn't really like I was completely focused on just like, okay, do I have a chance? Don't. I was like, okay, let me just get through each day, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I mean, my senior year at Houston was amazing. We ended up losing to Kentucky in the Sweet 16, and they had a loaded team that year. They had Tyler Hero, P.J. Washington, Kendall Johnson, a lot of guys who are still in the league right now. We ended up losing to them by like 4. And after that, I signed with my agency, who I'm still with to this day. And that summer, I think I worked out with 18 NBA teams, all in one summer. And like, it's like sometimes it was like back-to-backs. Like I think my worst trip was I had to fly from Miami to Boston to LA all in 5 days. So it was just
and still
like
work out there.
and work out every single day. And these workouts weren't no joke. Like it was like some days it was just like conditioning workouts. Like they just wanted to see how tired you can get and see if you can still make a shot. Like some of the workouts were just like that. But it was an experience though, being in those arenas and seeing that, you know, teams were actually interested and you're getting invited to these workouts and like, you know, it's like your names are coming up on these lists. Like it was a very euphoric feeling because like coming from where I came from and now being in the Boston Celtics arena and seeing all these trophies, it's like you can't really put a price tag on it. You can't really understand it like when you're in the midst of it. But it's like looking back at it, like it was definitely crazy.
You said you lost to Kentucky. You work out with like 18 teams. So first of all, you are undrafted.
Yeah, so I went undrafted, and then the Wizards called maybe like 30 minutes after the draft, and then I signed with them for summer league and training camp. And I went through with them. I was playing with Rui Hachimura, who's still with them. Schofield, I think he's playing overseas now. And funny enough, Mo Wagner. I lost to Mo in my junior year in the tournament as well. Round of 32, Jordan Poole hit that shot over me. Still crushes me.
I actually watched the video yesterday because I couldn't believe
every
it.
March, I'm tagged in that video like 345 times, and I absolutely hate it, to be honest. But yeah, but that was a good summer. Like I went to training camp for a week, and I was offered an Exhibit 10. So Exhibit 10 contract is kind of like a two-way contract. If you get called up, you'll get your max contract, but if you don't, you're just gonna stay on a G League salary. So it's like I had options to go overseas in Turkey, France, and I think Greece that year, my first year. And I ended up signing in Turkey. I went to a small city in the south of Turkey called Afyon. Because I just was like, at that point, I was ready to take care of my family, to be honest. Like I wasn't really like worried about like chasing the NBA dream. Like I knew for a fact, like my
Why
main
not
goal.
though? I mean, when they offer you a two-way, and basically the 10-day is it, I don't know how this really works. Like, do you have to be like, make the 10 days to get really an extension, or and then kick you at day 9?
And that's the politics at NBA. Like even if they did call you up, like they would do something like pull you up for 7 or 8 days, and then send you back like 2 days before you get your big contract, just so they don't have to pay you. Like that's type of like the games the NBA will get into. So it's like I sat down and had these conversations with my agent, and it was like, do I want to go through that at this point in time? And like I think I was just really focused on playing basketball and taking care of my family. It was like, I don't want to risk making 30, 40,000 where I could be making 6 figures overseas and it's untaxed and I don't have to worry about nothing. My mom's good, my brother's good, my grandparents good, like, but I'm just traveling the world. And that's something I always wanted to do too. So it kind of like, it made the decision for me a little bit easier. So end up doing that. And it was like maybe the second week, going into the second week of camp, I kind of told them that I wasn't going to take the deal and was going to ship out.
When was it? Like, is it August-ish or
maybe
September already?
July, I believe.
July.
I think late. It was right after summer league, and we like went straight back to Washington, and we started training camp. And then like maybe a week into training camp, I ended up leaving.
So it's also kind of late to sign with the team overseas, right?
Yeah.
Because usually
super. Usually
preseason
like
starts in August.
Yeah, like May, June is when like you're supposed to get stuff done, but like July, August, you're kind of pushing it for sure.
So you went to Turkey. How was your first year in Turkey?
Horrible. Hated it. Absolutely hated it. We lived in like the city, like the best way I can explain it, like if you could picture like a war happening and then like a city after that, that's what Afyon looked like. Like it's broken buildings everywhere. Like I lived in a hotel for 9 months. So I was just like a bed, bathroom, that's it. Food was horrible. I had cows walking in front of the hotel like at 6 o'clock in the morning mooing. Like it was just the worst experience ever, to be honest.
Was it a year where you lived only in the hotel and not really in an apartment, or?
Hotel the whole year.
Yeah.
But that was the same year that COVID also hit. So we were there we ended up leaving in February. So, and obviously they weren't going to pay us for the rest of the year either. So Turkey is very funny about where they were at that time. Let me stop speaking bad about Turkey. They paid us the first 3 months. They didn't pay us for November, December. And then January, we got that check. February, we got half of that check. And then they stopped paying us after that. And they just shipped us home.
So you told me like the situation where your vet actually told you how to handle this. And I can kind of get it. You're a rookie there. You're still young.
I was terrified.
You're not getting paid.
I was terrified.
And like, how did you handle this as a team also?
So I had veterans on my team at the time. Jordan Crawford, who's playing, he's actually in Turkey now. He's in Istanbul with a great team. When it came to us not getting paid the first time, he literally told all the Americans, like, we're not going to the gym until they pay us. And like, mind you, I'm the only rookie on the team at the time. So I'm looking around like, who's not going to practice? Like, I'm not about to sit, like, this is my first year. Like, y'all been here for 3 or 4 years. Like, I can't afford to do this. Like, it's like, no, we're not going to the gym. So I'm calling my agent, panicking. I'm like, should I listen to him? Like, should I go to practice? Like, what should I do? He's like, just stay there. Like, especially if they're not paying you, like, I'm gonna handle this. Like, now I'm just like in the hotel fidgeting for like weeks at a time. Like, we wouldn't practice all week. We'd play the game just to like save face and like make sure everything was cool. And like the next week would start, wouldn't practice. And we did that for like maybe a month or something like that. And then they finally like just some magical way gave us a lump sum of 2 months worth of catch. And we just went back to practice. And after that, I was like, so this is how it works. Got it. All right.
I mean, yeah, as a fan, you usually have like this, I don't know, illusion of how everything works. So it's cool you opening up about this and kind of giving us insights on. I mean, there's another story with the cash. I don't know. It hasn't been this year, right? But
so what year was that? This is my 3rd year after COVID. I went to a team in Montenegro. And there's only one team, but I'm not going to say the team's name. It was a strange dynamic, honestly. The head coach and the owner of the team were like twin brothers, and it was a very strange dynamic. Like, we got paid in like U.S. currency every month, and we had to deposit the cash into like our bank accounts. Like, so I'm walking around with like $12,000-$15,000 in cash, just sitting in the house, like not knowing what to do. I'm locking my doors 3 times at night, like I'm just terrified. And then we're just like escorted to the bank the next morning every month. I'm like, something about that, I don't know what isn't right, but something about this just doesn't feel right at all. And it was just very strange for me, honestly. Yeah. But it came to a point where like, maybe around like October or November, I got an injury. I caught like a grade 3 contusion in my left thigh. And like, it was to a point where I couldn't really move. But they have the Balkans have a very like rough way of handling like players and injuries. And like, they don't believe you. If you tell them you're hurt, you're not. I don't care what you're saying. You're not hurt. So I played against one of the EuroLeague teams actually in that league that game, and I played horribly, honestly. And I told them like I literally can't move. Like, the fact that y'all make me play is crazy. It's like, they told me before that game if I didn't play, they weren't going to pay me for the rest of the month. Now, mind you, it's like the last week of the month. So now I'm like, so I worked my tail off for like 2.5, 3 weeks. I get hurt, still have to play, and you're telling me I'm not going to get my check? We're not doing that. So after I actually ended up playing in the game because I just didn't want to have to deal with all of that going on. But once we got back, I literally just packed all my things and I left. Like, I literally just got up out of there because I knew, like, at the end of the day, if I had to continue doing that, it was going to take years off my career, and I'd rather have to fight like the stigmas of, oh, he's difficult to deal with, oh, he's like, rather that than having to like risk my career and my health. And that's just something that I just will never do for anyone, any team, any person. Like, that's my health, my love. Like, that's really important to me. And I wouldn't trade that for anything, to be honest.
I mean, that's kind of a risky move to do because they own basically your FIBA rights. So if they don't gonna release you, and I don't know when you left, like in November.
It takes some time. Definitely.
They don't have to let you go.
No, they don't.
So you're not really able to play somewhere else. So did they then talk to you and be like, okay, we're gonna release you?
Yeah. So my agent actually did a good job of handling that. It was kind of like, it was just a back and forth battle. But again, like they broke so many rules in my contract. So it's like, if things were to get out of hand, like if we really went to court, like it'll just be a mess, to be honest. And they didn't want the headache because the season was already going to crap, and they were like, okay, just whatever, we'll let you go. Like, just
when was it? Like,
it was in December. I think
so
I finally got released like the second week in December, and that's when I went to Italy for the first year.
So was it easy to find another team?
Yeah, like I think after I got my rights, I literally signed with Trieste the following day. It was like maybe 4 or 5 teams that once they found out that I left were on me heavy. So like, he just kept like just talking to them back and forth and trying to get everything squared away. And lately, after I got everything cleared, I was gone like maybe maybe like 3 or 4 days after that, after I got my visa straight and all my passport stuff situated.
And then you got hit with a truck suspension in Italy.
Did. So it wasn't that year, but it was the following year.
Yeah.
What game was it? We played Bologna. And then, I'll never forget either. It was me, Nico Mannion, Shingelia, who's playing for Barcelona right now, and my big, his name was Skylar Spencer. We all got drug tested that day. And I didn't get the news until the following week. We went to Saucery, and it was like I was getting in the locker room, getting ready for the game or whatever, and one of the assistant coaches came and grabbed me, and he brought me into the coach's locker room, and he told me that I failed the drug test, and then I was like, just baffled, like confused more than anything. I was like, there's no way. So that whole process, like I couldn't play, and I was like maybe 5 games left in the season. They were very important because like we were on the cusp of like relegation or staying in the league. Like those 5 games, we had to win like maybe two or 3 of those games. Yeah. And I was on a tear before that too. I think the last 5 games that I had played, I was averaging like somewhere like around like 22, 23 points a game. I was having a hell of an end of the year. And then I got hit with that. So it was kind of like, you know, I got a lot of backlash for that because it was, like I said, they ended up having to go back to A2. They're back in A1 now, but they had to go back to A2 that year. And it was just a lot. And I had to fight with that for maybe 5 or 6 months. I didn't get cleared from that until October of that year. And
I mean, this could be career ending.
Yeah, because the like suspension originally was supposed to be for 4 years, totally. Yeah. But end up we end up squashing it to like contamination or something like that, or like they gave me I think it was like a fine of like maybe like $1,500 or something like that, and then it was cleared, and then I ended up going to Spain in late October 23rd, I believe.
So how did you then, like after being in this hassle, not really knowing if you can play for the next couple of years, and I think you told that there was like they tested something, but it was so minor that it's not even
that is
like
not
considered you really took something.
Exactly.
How did you rebuild then? Going from probably your career could be over. I mean, at that age, that's your prime usually.
Yeah.
And if you're not able to play, you can train whatever you want, but not playing wouldn't like help you. So, being kind of relieved, I guess, going to Spain.
Yeah.
What was the year there for you?
I think it was at the beginning it was a very good year because I mean I went over there because they lost both of their point guards at the time. They both got injured. I think it was like ankle injuries or something like that. And it was a great opportunity for me because it honestly happened in a very great timing situation for me. So I ended up going there and playing very well. I was having a good season, but once they got back, it kind of like became difficult with the minutes and everything else. And like they had already signed those guys at the beginning of the year. One of them played for the Spanish national team like multiple years in a row. So it was like finding minutes for me and still keeping those guys happy became a conflict. And it became difficult. We had a coaching change in the process as well, so a lot of things was just very difficult that year. But ended up getting a better situation. I went back to Italy and Cremona, and that's when I finished the year out there. I got there in late February of that year. Late February, I believe.
Yeah. And then you played there for another year, right?
Year and a half. So I finished the year out that year, and then I played in Canada that summer. Ended up signing with Cremona again, which was last season, obviously.
Yeah. So now you're here in Chemnitz.
How Chemnitz, man. I love it.
What was the thought process of being in like, I think, better leagues than BBL, if you gotta be honest, like Italy, Turkey, the Spanish league. Why choosing BBL? Why choosing Chemnitz?
Honestly, I just believe it was just right fit, right timing. Me and Wes had a very long, extensive conversation because obviously once I found out that they wanted to sign me,
and Wes?
I knew Wes played here. I called him immediately. I immediately called him. I was just trying to get all the information I could about him, and like the coaching staff, like City, just asking him just basic questions or whatever. And he had high hopes of just like me signing there. He literally told me every great thing about Chemnitz, obviously. So gave me high hopes, definitely. Me and Rodrigo talked a lot too as well, and I think what really sold me was just his passion for Chemnitz, like his love for the game, and just the things that he wanted to do this year, and just how he wanted to build the team. It really inspired me, and with the Euro Cup, and incentive. It's like kind of like, okay, this is my first year also playing a Euro Cup, playing for a coach who obviously wants to win and loves the city that he's coaching for. So it's kind of like, it felt like a Houston thing all over again. Like Rodrigo is very passionate about what he does, and he wants to win more than anything. And that's something that I love about him for sure. So it just kind of like, it was like night and day, honestly. Like it was just an easy decision.
Cool. So I assume when you signed, you had probably multiple offers. Did you really consider all of them, or was based on what your agent probably told you, and then was like straight go with Chemnitz, or was it more compared to like your college thing where you talk to other guys first, see what they offer, and then?
So I don't know if I can say this. I might get in trouble for this. I actually signed with Chemnitz like in the middle of the season last year. I signed with Chemnitz in February, but obviously we weren't supposed to say anything about it. Me and Ty. I'm throwing him under the bus too, just in case I get in trouble for this. We signed in February. I talked to Wes, I talked to Coach Rodrigo, and then like maybe 2 or 3 days I made a decision. Like once I seen like, okay, we're playing a Euro Cup, I got a good coach behind me. One of my closest brothers tells me great things about the city. It's a no-brainer. Like I don't like to like let my decisions, like I always make a decision around like May or June, so I don't have to worry about during the summer, but this situation just felt right. Like I was just absolutely just appealed by it. So I was like, yeah, let's get it done.
And I think that's kind of remarkable for Niners Chemnitz, for the organization, that you can get players that early without them second guessing or trying to see what. I mean, when the seasons end, usually that's when you get the better offers, probably, I think at least, where things get more clear. So signing that early is like a great commitment to the organization, to the team.
Yeah.
So that's really dope, first of all, to have you here. But going into the year, what are your expectations? How did you, or when did you know who was playing in Chemnitz? What the expectations can be playing Euro Cup, playing also BBL?
I think once I signed, like I did a very good job of like keeping up with the team and the signings and everything. I think the first person I did speak to was Nike. Me and Nike have mutual friends, and we kind of connected through that way. And we were talking back and forth the entire summer, just getting a feel for each other. Me and Ty ended up linking up as well during the summer. And it's just like seeing like individual, like how talented alone this team could be and the potential we had was just so intriguing to me. I didn't know most of the guys, especially Keza, Kevin. Like I didn't really know any guys who were already here who played, but I was ready to pick their brains and just see what they were about, and you know, anything that I could learn from them. And I think that was, once we got here in August, it was everything I thought it was going to be. Keza is an amazing captain. He's always ready to teach the guys. He's very stern in a way that it's like you have to be ready for Keza every practice. That's just how I'm gonna put it. Like if you're not on your P's and Q's, Keza's gonna make sure you know. Kevin's just a very instinctive guy, and he's just someone you can always learn something from. And it's just like me adding on to the prestige of like being around for a long time and the knowledge I have of the game and helping the guys out. Like we have, like from August, I knew we had potential to be a great team. So it's always just like seeing what we started, how we started, and like to now, like I can see the progress for sure. It's like it's the day-to-day basis is always working, and I think we're trending in the right direction for sure.
Yeah. So what's the approach right now for you guys? Because I feel like you kind of lost more games that you would have, I don't know, need to lose, if that's correct English.
I think
and sometimes they've been like super close.
Yeah.
How do you approach that and getting better? Because I think you're really not performing as at least you could.
Yeah.
Or what, I mean, I feel like the potential is way higher.
100%.
And
100%.
how do you kind of, I don't know, turn some knobs there and make some twists to kind of get the full potential on the court and really do what you're all as a team supposed to do?
I think our biggest problem right now is consistency. Because, I mean, everyone who watches, like, the glimpses of how great this team can be always shows, no matter what game it is. Like, you can see how good this team is, but I think we just lack in the maturity of being consistent and doing all of the right things all of the time. Like I said, normally, and I've seen this a million times, normally dealing with teams who are very just naturally talented, who can go give you 80, 90 points at any given night. Like those type of teams normally struggle at being consistent at doing the little things. And that's something that we're definitely struggling with right now. And we've had to just get back to that hunger that we had in August. Because like I said, like we know that we're talented. We know that we can play with any team that we face, but it's just like being consistent on the little minute details that we might not think are important, but we have to understand we're playing professional basketball players every night. Like, it's not no gimmies. There's not a team we're just going to run over. Like, we have to be consistent in being professionals. I think once everyone on the team grasp that and understand that, like, I think that's when we can start kicking in the right direction and reaching our full potential for sure.
What's your approach on handling it? What's your, I don't know, goals for it personally, but also as a team?
Yeah, I think me personally, I think the only thing that I'm really focused on right now is just going in every day and making sure our energy level and our focus is where it needs to be. Because like I said, everything else after that will follow. Rodrigo does an amazing job of making sure our game plans are amazing and we know exactly what we need to be doing. But as one of the captains on the team, I feel like I can't let guys get comfortable. And I think, again, that's also something that we struggle with, because some guys may have good nights, some guys, the same guy might have a bad night, and it affects them, and you can tell. And it's like trying to keep those guys emotionally level and understanding, like, some nights is going to be a night, some nights is not. But doing the right things for the collective of the team is the most important thing, and we have to always focus on that. Regardless if you're a scorer, tonight we might need you to be a defender. If you're a defender, sometimes we might need you to score or do, just different jobs. And having that flexibility, understanding, like, sometimes you just have to step outside your role or just do your role at a high level, or sometimes just go out there and hurt somebody. Like, you just have to just do something. And I think guys have to grasp that, like, if we find that hunger that we had in August, sky's the limit. Like that.
Corey, I really appreciate you coming over.
And always.
Being so open about your past and your personal life and what you've been through. I think that's really valuable, and it's really dope to have you here in Chemnitz. Before we close this off, is there anything, like some famous last words you want to say to the audience here, but also...
Don't put me on a spot like that. Nah, honestly, I just want to thank everybody for coming. I mean, honestly, getting to talk to you, my guys, having everybody here and everybody getting to know who I am as a person was very important to me. Once you gave me the opportunity to do so, I immediately jumped on it. Like I said, I have a very strong passion for the game of basketball. And I just love what I do. I love making people happy. I love playing the sport of basketball, and I love for people to know who I actually am outside the court, who don't get to talk to me as often as normal people do. So it's like having these opportunities to just speak and just tell people about myself. Definitely appreciate you for it, and I thank everybody for coming and listening up to as well.
Shoot, I forgot one question. Like, what was your first home game here? How did you experience it? Because I feel like it's really passionate over here.
Yeah, I love it.
And at least the feedback I get from a lot of guys, it's that it's not what they expect or what they're used to. I mean, you played in Turkey and stuff like that, where it's probably like a little over sometimes. But
yeah.
How did you really?
Honestly, I loved it. Like I said, I'm a big energy guy. I live and breathe like just playing with passion. So like that first night in the Mesa was absolutely amazing. Like I sat there and talked to Coach Rodrigo about it, like that, like just experiencing that and how passionate, how dedicated those fans are. Like, it just makes you want to go hard and want to work hard every single day. So I absolutely enjoyed it.
That's dope. Yeah. So thank you everybody for coming over. Really appreciate you coming over. Appreciate also everybody watching it on YouTube. It's cool that these videos are watched so many times, and really kind of keeps us going to do this, because there's so much work in there. I mean, it's cool that Atomino gives us the space. First of all, that Radar is supporting with all the video stuff. You guys sitting down. There's a lot of work behind the scenes to make like this 1 hour happen. So it's really dope that everybody's kind of supportive for it, and I hope to see you for the next time also.
Yeah. And shop Unknown Basics if y'all not doing it. That's awesome.
Oh, and maybe if you're still here, grab something to drink at the bar. That's kind of how we're gonna reward them for giving us the space. So that's been cool. Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.